All right, we're back in the morning zone and back to the phones we go. Thanks for holding. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Dave.
Hi there.
Hey, a little FYI, personal experience. I worked for the Forest Service around Laramie Peak in the 70s, and our ranger was in Douglas, and we had total control through the ranger in Douglas. When there was a problem with the forest, the ranger sent his top person out to examine what the problem was, whether it was, erosion of a road, or, whether it was fire danger, whether it was clusters of trees that needed to be thinned, whether it was bug kill, whether it was down timber from the wind, or an area, for some reason the trees died off. Then the ranger would get a report back, and then the ranger, if it was big enough, would come out and examine the situation and make a determination, and then he'd come up with a plan of attack to, fix the problem. And literally within 10 days, usually, us grunts were out there with chainsaws or cats and road graders and, putting in riprap, taking down trees, piling and burning, stuff like that. And as the years went on, I still, through some other people, were in contact with the rangers and the different people that were managing the forest. And they kept saying that they have no power to do anything anymore. And the bug kill trees is a wonderful situation to harvest. God made the bugs. They went and did their thing. And then the last ranger I was talking to said it took 3 years to get a wood sale permit to harvest the bug kill trees. And the bug kill trees are basically rotten within 3 to 4 years. And then another fact on this last, I think it was the cow camp up around, towards Laramie Peak a couple years ago.
Right.
And last year there was one called the Arapahoe fire that burned 100,000 acres. Scott Davis out of Laramie, who was the county fire warden, on both of those fires came to the fire and sent crews home in the infancy of the fire and said, we'll take care of it. The rest is history. And so the people up around Laramie Peak, and that would be the Laramie Peak Volunteer Fire Department that's been there since about 1956, 1960, were actually sent home and told that the county would take care of those fires. And then later it was said by the state foresters, when we get all of this burnt, it'll be a good thing. And so they're intentionally letting these fires go. And if it burns out the houses, people's equipment, their trucks, their tractors, their life, that is just collateral damage. And, to get the trees burnt. I talked to a straight forester in Wheatland, Wyoming at the post office. And I said, when are you people going to stop burning this and take care of it? And he says, we'll stop burning it when it's all gone. And I said, what does the word all mean? He said, all, when it's all gone. About 4 times I said, what do you mean by all? And he says, all of it, when it's all gone, when it's all burnt. And so I said, yeah, you mean the green trees, the people's houses? In other words, when you push people out of the national forest land into the cities where you can control them, then you'll be happy. And he frowned at me and walked off. So anyway, there's just a little FYI on what's going on right here in Wyoming.
That's typically indicative. Yeah, that's why we have the problems that we're having. That's why, did you hear on the news at the bottom of the hour, 7,200 homes flooded in Boulder County because largely the runoff from the high country where those trees had burned, and there was nothing to stop the water.
No. And so when it comes right down to it, if you want to pin legally, if you want a lawsuit or anything like that, you go back in and you sue the federal government, the Forest Service, for their plan of let it burn.
Yeah.
And that destroys your ability to hold the land, like you said, with the dead timber and the burnt and everything. And so those 7,200 homes, all those lives and everything that was lost, was actually a willful, malicious, deliberate, situation that was caused that ended up causing, those 7,200 homes plus everything else that's happened
to
occur.
Well, it's like everything that we've been talking about this morning. We have been told the big lie for so long that America has, like Khrushchev said in that 1959 statement, America is gullible. We are gullible. We believe whatever we're told without ever bothering to learn the facts. Not true of everyone, because you learned the facts. You learned the facts the hard way. You were right there with the pick and the shovel and the axe and the chainsaw.
Yeah.
You saw what needed to be done, how it was being done, and now how it's being done, and the change that's happened in those 35, 40 years that you were talking about.
Let me make a real quick statement on another observation. When you burn all the timber in the United States, you burn all the national forests, there's no more game to go eat and harvest. There's no more timber. There's no place to hide. You fly over in a helicopter. When the poop hits the fan in the United States, and there is nowhere to hide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's nowhere to hide. It's easier to find you. So, chew on that, America.
Mm-hmm. Something to think about for sure. Hey, thanks for your call. We appreciate it. Some good thoughts and some good facts. You have a good day.